evening, everyone. Nikki the Foodie here. It is Tuesday evening, June 2nd, and tonight we are making broiled Maine tails au gratin. In front of me, I have everything we need, but before I get to the actual recipe, I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to make a Maine tail look like this for broiling. This nice presentation style with the meat all on top and everything like that. So we're going to start off with that. So I'm going to take my Maine tail here, and I'm going to take my nice sharp Lobster Gram kitchen shears, and I'm going to start cutting right through the top of this shell here. Now when you start cutting through the shell, you're going to feel that you're cutting through the meat, and that's actually good. What you're doing is you're actually butterflying the meat, and that's going to make it cook more evenly. Alright, now that we have the lobster tail cut through, we're going to separate the shell just a little bit. And starting at the back of the tail, I'm going to go ahead and push my finger in between the meat and the shell of the lobster. I'm not even going to bother to answer the phone. So I'm going to keep scooching my finger along the side of the Maine tail here, loosening the meat from the side of the lobster shell. And then when the first side is done, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. That's nice and attached. Now it's really important to start from the back when you're doing this and work your way forward, otherwise it's just not going to work. And also when you're separating the meat from the shell, be very careful not to cut yourself. It's very, very easy to cut yourself on a jagged lobster shell, and it's no fun to have a wound with lobster shell actually stuck in it. So this guy is just about done. Alright, now that we have that done, I'm going to open them up just a little bit more. I'm going to try not to break the shell too much. And I'm going to gently lift the meat out from the bottom. Put my fingers down in there and gently lift the meat. See, now you can see that it's starting to separate from the shell, and you can just stick your fingers in there and feel where the meat is and pull upwards toward the crack. Alright, now separate the back a little bit more, and you finish pulling the meat through behind. Alright. And there we go. It is a beautiful Maine lobster tail, butterflied, ready for presentation, and ready for the broiler. I'm going to get these other two lobster tails prepared, and when I'm done with that, we'll come back and I'll show you how to make the first part of our recipe. I'll see you guys soon. And we are back. We have our Maine tails here ready for the broiler, and we have everything in front of me right now to make the broiled Maine tails au gratin. So right now, I'm going to take the breadcrumbs, parsley, and finely grated Parmesan cheese here, and I'm going to dump this in the mixing bowl. Now I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of melted butter and pour that on there. All right, with a dash of paprika. There we go. All right, now I'm going to mix this. Now we're not actually going to use this until the last few minutes of broiling time, so now that this is mixed, I'm going to set this off to the side. And we're going to make our marinade. Now, we have 2 tablespoons of dry white wine and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice right here. And right here we have 1 clove of crushed fresh garlic. So we're going to combine these ingredients and whisk them together lightly just to make sure everything is okay. Alright, now that we have this, we're going to take a cooking brush, as normally it would be, but today it's going to be a used paintbrush, and we're going to brush the mixture on top of the Maine tails. Now I'm going to make sure that I get some of this garlic on here, just to make sure that that gets the flavor there. Now after these are sufficiently covered, these are going to go into the broiler for about 5 minutes, and periodically throughout that 5 minutes I'm going to keep checking on these just in case they start broiling a little too quickly. You want to definitely make sure that you're checking for doneness with this recipe, because it's really easy to overbroil a Maine tail. You really only need to broil it for about 10 minutes total. So now that we have this on here, we are going to put the Maine tails in the broiler for the first 5 minutes. We're 5 inches away from the heat source, and that is hot. So we're going to be back in about 5 minutes. We're going to marinate these again, and then they're going to go back into the oven before it's breadcrumb time. So I'll see you guys soon. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, and it's time to check on the Maine tails. So let's see what's going on in the oven. Oh, these are starting to look good. Oh, a little jump in my broiler pan here. Alright, I can see I'm going to have to reposition some meat. That jump jostled thing. No big deal. Actually going to have to get a fork here. Nope, nope. It's saved. Hooray. Alright. It's been about 5 minutes and we're going to put the rest of the mixture on here. So this time I'm going to spoon it on to make sure that I get all the garlic and everything else. And then once these are covered again, they're going to go back in for about another 5 minutes. And it may actually be less than that because these are starting to look pretty done to me. Just want to make sure that this meat stays nice and moist here. They're starting to smell very good already. All right, that's everything. Hopefully on the next trip my pan doesn't have a freak out. Back into the oven with these guys for another 5 minutes, and I'm going to keep a close eye on them this time. Alright. We'll see you in about 5 minutes when it's time to put the breadcrumbs on. Alright, it's been another 5 minutes, and it's time to take the tails out of the oven and put the breadcrumbs on. So let's see how they're looking now. Oh yeah, these look like they're much more thoroughly cooked. Starting to brown a little bit on top. Definitely breadcrumb time here. I'm going to grab my breadcrumb mixture over here, and I'm just going to sprinkle this lightly on top of the main tails. Now, it doesn't really matter if a bunch falls onto the pan. That's the glory of putting it on a pan. So, sprinkle this on there and hope I at least get some of it on the main tails. I'm going to try and push a little bit on there without burning myself too much, because that would not be good. Oh, no one ever said good cooking would be clean. It's usually a very messy process. But the outcome is always delicious. Alright. Almost done here. Thankfully I haven't burned myself yet. A little bit more on each of these, and then they will go back in the oven really for only about 30 seconds. Cover the front of this one a little bit more. Alright. A little messy, but done nonetheless. Grab my oven mitt. Grab these lobster tails. Back in the oven for another 30 seconds. Alright. And we will be back as soon as these come out of the oven to show you the finished product. Our 30 seconds is up, and it's time to get the main tails out of the broiler. So let's see here. Oh, this smells fantastic. I can smell the Parmesan cheese melting, and it's perfectly browned on top. Maybe even about 30 seconds overdone. See, it's a little bit burned over here by the tail, but I wasn't planning on eating the shell anyway, so I guess it really doesn't matter. Well, I'm going to get everything on the table and get to eating, so I will see you guys soon.